In this lesson, we're going to look at sample spaces. And when you list a sample space, you're basically listing every possible outcome. That's it. So let's see if we can describe an event that would have a sample space of maybe H or T. Well, there's only two outcomes. One's H, one's T. I'm guessing that probably stands for heads and tails. So an event that would have this sample space would be flipping a fair coin. For part B, we could also, actually for all of these, there's two options, right? So we could say for all of them, flipping a coin that has A on one side and B on the other, or flipping a coin that has G on one side or B on the other, right? So these, because there are two possible outcomes, a coin flip could be used for all of these. We could also say that there are two cards on the table. One has an A on it, one has a B on it. What's the probability of choosing the A card, right? The sample space would be what we have here for B, A, B. We could have a bag that has two marbles in it. One could be green, one could be blue. What's the probability you're going to choose the green marble? This would be our sample space, one green, one blue. All right. All right, so let's look at an actual sample space. A paper bag has 6 colored marbles. The marbles are red, green, blue, purple, yellow, and orange. List the sample space when choosing one marble. Well, whether we're choosing 1 or 2 or 5, our sample space is just all the possible results, right? So our sample space, when choosing one marble, so our sample space, we could get, now you could write out the actual word or you could just use a letter. Red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange. When these are letters, you should write them in alphabetical order. I mean, this is still the sample space, but we could also rewrite these numbers in alphabetical order. So let's see if I can do that without a practice run through first. All right, so B would come first. Oh boy, why did I get nervous all of a sudden? And then G, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, O, P, Q, R, and then Y. All right, so that would be listed in alphabetical order. Or we could just write all of the names, and those don't have to be in alphabetical order. We could write red, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange. A 4-part spinner is spun once. List the sample space for the experiment. So again, we're listing all of the possible outcomes. That spinner could land on Q, it could land on R, it could land on S, or it could land on T. Notice I listed them alphabetically. Typically, that's how you'll see sample spaces listed. They'll list them alphabetically. Julia had a bag filled with gumballs. There were 2 lemon lime, 3 watermelon, and 5 grape. What's the correct sample space for the gumballs in her bag? Now, this is interesting because we have duplicates this time. So when you have duplicates, you have to list them as many times as they appear. So if there's 2 lemon lime, I'm going to write lemon lime twice. Then 3 watermelon. All right, well, I'm just going to use WM for watermelon, okay, you guys? So I'm going to go to the next line. Watermelon, watermelon, and watermelon. And then there's 5 grape. So I'll use GR. Grape, 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 and grape. You guys can understand my sort of cursive, right? So that would be our sample space for the gumballs in the bag. A set of 8 cards were labeled with subtract what is the sample space for choosing one card? So we've got some duplicates again, and I'm going to list them alphabetically. Oops. Well, yeah, sample space, and we need our little curvy brackets here. Let's see. This one's a little easier for some reason. A would be first, and then B, and then C. Let's see. I'm going to cross them off as I use them so I'm not distracted. R, S, T, and U, right? So R, there's only one, and then S, and then there are two T's and a U. So there's my sample space. And finally, create your own experiment with 5 or more possible outcomes. All right, so my experiment is going to be a spinner. And the spinner is going to have 6 equally sized spaces. And of course, if I couldn't draw this, then I would just explain that I would have a spinner with 6 equally sized spaces, and they're going to be numbered from 1 to 6. Oh, or I could have used a die, right? A fair die with 6 faces. Or a spinner with 5 spaces, because it really just says 5 or more, right? Or I could have used, there are 5 cards in a bag, or in a hat, or 6 marbles in my hand, or whatever gives you at least 5 outcomes, right? And then my sample space would be to list all the possibilities. So that would be all the possible outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I did like the marbles, let's say I had 5 different colored marbles. I have 1 green, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 white, and 1 purple. Then my sample space would look kind of like that, actually. My sample space would be green, blue, black, white, purple. Right? So just remember that sample space is just listing all the possible outcomes that you could have in your experiment. All right.